Oh, okay. So we are on. Good evening. Oh, yeah, that's fine. Where's my Apple Pencil? Let's turn this down. Change this to this, and hopefully go there. Nice. I like that. That works nicely. Good stuff indeed. So let's make these comments jump out. Uh, cool, and we'll pop those just over here so I can see them and read them. So there we go. Good. We've got the comments sorted out. We've got everything on. I like that. Good news. And hopefully the sound is good, and I am. You can hear me basically. That's always going to be a bonus, of course. Let me just move myself around there. Good stuff. So good evening and welcome to the Mellow Financial Live, I suppose. Yeah, it is. On YouTube and TikTok, where you can ask a question. And I'll do my best to answer it for you, to give you any guidance or assistance I can. So do feel free to ask a question. Don't be shy. There are no silly questions. Because remember, we're not taught this stuff. So I've gone away and studied it and got my qualifications. So do feel free and ask away, because I can assist you as best I can. And yeah, maybe quell some fears and cure some myths which are out there, which some people believe when it comes to mortgages, that you've got to have certain things or you can't do certain things. But don't worry, fear not. I am here to put the record straight. not put the record straight. But, you get what I mean. So, yeah, do feel free to hit me up in the questions and we shall go from there. But, yeah, also, it would be very much appreciated. If you don't want to ask a question, that's fine. If you just want to sit back and listen, then that's absolutely awesome. But if you could maybe hit the likes, that would be very beneficial. Ooh, here we go. First question in. Will 100% mortgages have a much bigger interest rate for first-time buyers? No, actually. So there's one from Skipton, which is called the Track Record Mortgage, which actually it's a 5-year fixed and it's about 5.5%. So yes, it's higher than maybe a standard, well, not standard, but the rates on things are dictated largely by the amount of deposit you've got, so the loan to value. So a 95% mortgage, it could be costing you late fours, early fives. So a 100% mortgage with Skipton is about 5.4, I think it's 5.5. So yeah, they do have slightly higher rates, but of course you're not having to put down any deposit. So it's a kind of a trade-off, slightly higher rate. What's more important, deposit or mortgage term? They're actually, they're actually two quite separate things. So let's start with a deposit first. So a deposit is going to dictate largely how much the rate is, what rate you're going to pay, and therefore affect your repayments. The more deposit you put down, the less you're going to have to borrow, so therefore lower your repayments. The term is going to increase or decrease your payments as well, because the longer you spread the loan over, your payments will decrease. But the longer you'll be paying interest, so you'll pay more interest. So it's very much a discussion that we have with our clients around what their plans are, what they're looking to achieve, and then working out the best solution for that. So they're quite different things, but they kind of interlink in a way. Can you get a mortgage with 50k CCJ that has a plan in place? Oh, crikey. We're going to need to know more details around the CCJ. When was it registered? I assume it's not satisfied, so that's going to affect you. 50k is a lot of money as well on a CCJ, so it just needs to be assessed. I'm not saying no outright, but it just needs to be looked at properly. Hello, mortgage application, if they have booked a valuation, does this mean credit checks have passed? Very much depends on the lender. So I've got an application going in right now with a lender where it's still in underwriting and going through that stage, but they have done the valuation already. So it just happens at different times. It's another tick that has to happen in the mortgage application process, getting a valuation done. So it's just another thing that has to be done. There's no real way of saying whether it's nailed on good news or not. When apply the mortgage? When you've made an offer on a property. So essentially, a high deposit, longer mortgage term, the best. Not, John, there is not a one size fits all. It's very much individual circumstances. Will most mortgages allow to overpay to bring down length of buy? Most will, yeah. So if that's a key part of what you are looking to do, then as a mortgage broker, we will actively find a product that does have overpayment facility on it. You need to check the paperwork as to how much they will allow you to overpay. It tends to be about 10%. There are a couple that might do 20% in a calendar year. If you go over those limits, then you might face charges. How to make an overpayment without getting additional fees? You make sure you stick within the limits set by your lender. If your lender does not allow overpayments on your product, then you can't make overpayments without getting fees. You need to have a product that allows it. My mortgage has been in progress with Virgin Money for 3 weeks. Surveys all done. How much longer? I can't answer it, I'm afraid. It depends on, the workload of the lender. If there's anything on your application that needs to be underwritten or further looked into, or maybe the valuation report needs to be further looking into. There's no way of saying, but 3 weeks, I'd hope you'd be hearing something pretty soon. Can you get a mortgage on universal credit? There are lenders that take universal credit as income. Yes, not the housing element of it, but certainly lenders will take universal credit, child benefit, PIP, disability living allowance. So there's a whole raft of lenders out there that will accept it as a form of income. If you aren't in your fixed mortgage, will you still get additional fees for overpayments? No, you wouldn't. But if you're not in your fixed mortgage, you're probably then on the lender's standard variable rate, which is just a massive expense. So get off the lender's standard variable rate. Worried my credit is now bad. Right, okay. What happens when your mortgage ends? So when your fixed term deal ends, then you look for a new deal. That's either by a product transfer, staying with the same lender and moving to a new product, or a remortgage to a new lender for better rates and better terms. My AIP has come out lower than what I need to borrow. Is there anything I can do? Look for another lender that's going to lend you what you need. Don't do it yourself is the big thought there. Do it through a mortgage broker who has access to the whole of the market, who can find you a lender that will lend you what you need. Don't just apply to the first name that comes to your head, because lenders all have very differing lending criteria and multiples of income. So use a broker and get it done properly. How does remortgaging work with shared ownership, especially if the value goes up? So if the value increases, then your loan to value decreases. So therefore you'll just be remortgaging the amount of outstanding mortgage you've got. But the rate might be dictated by the loan to value. There's no real difference between remortgaging shared ownership or normal. My fiance and I paid off our car loans, and then he took out a 15 loan for a new car. It's lowered. Well, yeah, because you've got more lending. Regardless of whether it's a car loan or just an unsecured loan, it's a committed expenditure on a credit file. So therefore, it will be seen by lenders and it will affect your affordability, your borrowing ability. Child benefit and universal credit can be classed as income. Correct. How long after getting one mortgage should I wait to get another while keeping the first? What are you looking to do? Another residential or a buy-to-let? If it's a buy-to-let, you can do it straight away. So you're looking to get another I don't understand the question. How long do we have to wait for our application to be approved? It's been a week already. A week's nothing. Remember, the lender has to underwrite your case. They have to value the property to make sure it's worth what they're lending. They have to gain access to the property, so that might be slowing things up. But generally, 2 to 3 weeks, you should be getting an offer or a decline, either way. I work for the NHS. Will my pension contributions have a negative impact on the amount I can borrow? Potentially, because it will affect your net take-home pay. But on the plus side, if you're paying into a private pension, you may be able to have the term longer past retirement. So just all needs looking at. But of course, depends on your income and your outgoings as to how much you can actually afford. What's the chances of two did valuations from different... Don't understand the question. My message after got lost. We are paying less a month now than what we were before 2 loans. Okay, so the outgoings are less, but they're still committed expenditure. So you should be able to borrow a little bit more, but it's still classed as an outgoing. What's a 2-year 50% loan to value rate at the minute? There's thousands of them. I couldn't possibly tell you because there's so many other variables that go into it. I've been approved for a mortgage. Valuation on my house has been done. Okay, it's not a question. Should I pay my mortgage off early? If you want to, I mean, surely the dream is to be mortgage free. So yeah, you can do that by paying off your mortgage early. I'm not a financial advisor, so I can't advise on what you should do with your money though. What's the average reservation fee? I don't know. What's the chance of 2 different property valuations from 2 different mortgage lenders? Why are you going through the process of getting 2 different mortgage lenders to value a property? You're putting 2 applications. That's a risky strategy. Also, you might find that the mortgage lenders use the same valuation service, the same company to do the valuation. Therefore, it's likely to be the same person that did the valuation in the first place. So there's no real benefit of it. Would my niece be able to get a mortgage at 18 with a part-time job putting down 10%? On the face of it, yes. Just depends how much income she has do dictate how much she can borrow. 100k divorce settlement, work putting into apartment or save it. I'm not a financial advisor. Sent all my details to Joe. Excited to work. You got a nice one. Thank you very much. Good stuff. Do you know how many adults in full-time work can be on a mortgage? There are some lenders that allow up to 4 people on the application, but they may only take 2 incomes. How much can I overpay my mortgage by in the first 12 months? If your lender allows overpayments, it will show on your paperwork and it will show you the limit you're allowed to overpay up to without incurring any early repayment charges. Generally, it's about 10% of the outstanding balance in the calendar year. Some allow 20, some allow a monetary amount. So dig out your paperwork and it will say in there. Buy to let, good investment in current times. Again, I'm not a financial advisor, so I can't advise on that. My salary is 57k a year. How much can I borrow? Now, it depends what your situation is. The general rule of thumb is 4.5 times your salary. However, there are instances where you can get 5, 5.5, even 6. For example, 6 times if you're a first-time buyer with a good credit file, or if you're a professional, chartered accountant, chartered architect, pilot, that kind of thing. Or generally, if you're a first-time buyer, you can get 5, 5.5. Just depends on the lenders. But the general rule of thumb is 4.5 times your income. Can you still get a mortgage guarantor? You can do. They're called joint borrower sole proprietor mortgages. So you have a couple of borrowers, but only one person goes on the deeds of the property as the owner. Can be my broker. I'm from Blackpool. Yes, we can work with anyone all over the country because it's all done remotely. All you got to do is send us an email with your name, phone number, and then we will get in touch to book in a call. How much deposit and income is needed for a 380k house? So you're generally going to need, well, you can buy from as little as a 5% deposit. Where's my calculator gone? Let me just dig that out. So let's assume you're going to do a 10% deposit because that's even better. So you're going to then take off the 38k. Let's do that now. If we divide that by the 4.5, then you're looking at a salary, maybe combined salary of £76,000. So the first one to be residential and the second also residential. So first to move to buy-to-let. You can't rent out. You need to have 25% equity in the first house to convert it to a buy-to-let. You can't just use you just can't convert any residential property to a buy-to-let. You've got to have the 25% equity in there. 1 second, my alarm has just gone off because I have to remember to do a thing, but I shall do that. Can I take a mortgage in the UK for an overseas property? No, not through us anyway. Can I use my Newcastle ISA for a JBSP mortgage? Yeah, you can use an ISA if that's where your deposit's coming from. Then yeah, you can use that for any mortgage. You don't have to keep it with the same bank where your ISA is. Don't worry about that. It's your deposit. You take it where you want. 1 second, I've just got to. It's the usual 7 o'clock scramble to book the gym. So 1 second. 1 second. Go, go, go. Do. Come on, come on, come on. Oh, come on, it's taking too long. It's the 7 o'clock scramble to book into a class on the gym. So there we go. Tuesday, 5th of November, 10 o'clock. That's the one I want. Go, 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 go. Did I book it? Did I get it? Did I get it? Did I get it? Did I get it? Did I? Yes! Perfect. Right, so that's done. How does it work if shared ownership... Oh, God. How did you get into my line of work? Well, I've worked in financial services for 20 plus years. I went self-employed in 2019, did my qualifications, and away you go. Do you go to the gym do I look like I go to the gym every day? No, I don't go to the gym every day. That is to play pickleball. I don't know if anyone has played pickleball. It's awesome. I really enjoy playing that at the gym. I play that twice a week at the gym. Then we go on a Saturday. I went again today. So, yeah. Can you drop off an offer? What does that mean? Just past my CMAP? What tips do you give me to begin my career? So you need to really decide what you want to do. Do you want to go employed or self-employed? Self-employed is difficult because you need to work with somewhere that's going to allow you to sort of learn how to generate your inquiries and go through that process. Some people swear that you shouldn't do self-employed first out. I did because I've got other forms of income to support the family and stuff, so that was fine. But a lot of people suggest going into employed roles, but then you're looking at maybe estate agents. There's one that begins with C and ends in Onels, and I've not heard a good thing about them. You're going to be highly targeted, high stress, certainly not for me. But it's up to you. Why are housing prices so high? We live on an island. We've not built enough houses. Demand outstrips supply. So therefore, they are more expensive. Can I take a mortgage on a second job if I started second job 3 months ago? So you want two incomes considered. There are certain lenders that will allow two incomes to be taken into account. 3 months ago, you might be stretched to find one. Were you working for banks? No, I didn't work for banks, insurance companies and solicitors. How hard is it to get a second mortgage? Any difference to first? Do you now? What are we talking? Are we talking a mortgage at the same time as having another one, or are we selling a house and moving to a new property? I need to understand more around what you mean a second mortgage. Got a mortgage on a 10% deposit. Can I change to 5% if I choose a cheaper property? You can do, but you're going to have to totally change the application so that you get a new offer. You are going to perhaps struggle, maybe. I don't know. It's easier to get a mortgage with 10% deposit than it is with 5% deposit. So I'd urge caution about going down that road. Hubby will have 12 months of books as he's just gone self-employed. Will this affect us remortgaging? It will limit the number of lenders you can approach. There are lenders that will do a mortgage off 1 year's worth of self-employed books, but you're not going to be blessed with the whole market. But there will be options. So yeah, all is not lost. I've been saving and want to buy a house. What are the pros and cons of a 5 versus 10% deposit? Good question. So 5% deposit, the pros are it means you can get on the housing ladder with a lower deposit amount. One of the cons are it's going to be a higher rate that you have to repay. You're going to be borrowing more, so your repayments are going to be higher. Not every lender in the market offers a 95% mortgage product. The credit scoring on them tends to be quite tight, so you generally have to have a good credit history. Versus a 10% deposit, it's obviously a bigger deposit, meaning you have to borrow less. You'll get a slightly better repayment rate, so interest rate on it. And pretty much the whole market will offer a 90% loan to value product, giving you a greater choice. Say, for example, you've got any issues on the credit file. So it's quite a difference. With 20k salary, what's the most I can borrow for a first-time buyer? If you've got a good credit file, you could look at maybe 6 times that or 5.5 times that. You will need a good credit file though to get access to those. General rule of thumb, 4.5 times. For shared ownership, if I want to buy more shares, is the only way to save lots and get a pay rise? Well, yeah, you're going to need to be able to increase your income to be able to afford the extra borrowing. If mortgage falls through, do you lose your money? No, because you shouldn't have paid anything out, really. What are you concerned about losing? Can I sell my house and gift money to my dad to buy his house? Can I sell my house and gift money to my dad? You can gift money to your dad, yeah? I want to pay off my motorbike finance, but I'm about to apply for a mortgage. Should I wait till after? If you pay off your finance before, then that's only a bonus, because you're going to clear off a committed expenditure. Because the more committed expenditures you've got on your credit file, the less you're going to be able to borrow, because committed expenditure, say it's a motorbike finance, a car finance, or a loan, you are committed to pay that back every single month. That money, therefore, can't be used to pay off a mortgage payment each month, so they will let you borrow less. Can you buy business through a business loan? This is a mortgage thing. This isn't about buying businesses. I'm 40. This affect how long I can borrow money for? Yes. What's the maximum I can lend for? That will depend on how long you have got viable income for. So viable income can be pension income, private pension income, buy-to-let income. So if you've got that, there are lenders out there who will allow you to borrow up to the age of 95, as long as you've got that sustainable income allowing you to repay the mortgage. If we're going on just general sort of pension age or retirement age, up to 68. So if you're 40, you're talking a 28-year term to get it paid off before you retire. If I bet, does it matter? Depends on how much you bet. Now, if you have bank statements that are absolutely riddled with gambling, it's not going to look good. A lender will look at that and think, one, they'll class it as a committed expenditure, so reduce the amount you can borrow in the first place. And two, if they deem it to be an addiction, they may just flatly decline. My advice would be to stop betting for 3 months prior to a mortgage application, so there's no transactions showing on your bank statement. If you're not able to do that, then that poses other questions. It might be an addiction. How long does it take to get the keys to your new house? That is a good question, and there's no straight answer, because you got to go through the mortgage process. So speaking to a broker, getting your documents, getting all assessed and lining up a mortgage. You then have to go house hunting. You have to put offers in, get those accepted. Then it goes over to the solicitors to do the conveyancing, and that takes quite a while. It will be elongated if you're in a chain. So there's other properties that need to complete their work as well. So unfortunately, there isn't a time frame to be able to give. The longest part of the process is the conveyancing process. So on a 40 to 43k salary, what's the most I can borrow with a 20k deposit with fair credit? Times your 43 by 4.5. That's probably as much as you can borrow. But bear in mind, if you've got any committed expenditure, that needs to come off that amount as well. The only way to get an accurate figure is to speak to a mortgage broker, and we will work out your affordability properly. Does 3 months before mortgage application start at giving bank statements for a dip? Yes. So you need to have 3 months worth of clear bank statements. Looking to move in a few years. Is it useful to overpay existing mortgage as much as possible? Yes, because then when you sell your house, you'll have less of a mortgage to pay off, which means you'll probably have more profit in your pocket to either use as a deposit or do other things with. So yeah, overpayments are a great thing. Overpayments come off the actual capital loan. You're not paying off interest with overpayments. So they can drastically reduce the term of your mortgage. One thing I will say is a really good resource is if you go to the Money Saving Expert website, there is a mortgage overpayment calculator where you can put in your normal mortgage monthly payment and then say you want to overpay by £100. Put that in and look at the difference it makes. Massive. Even just making an extra payment each year, so making 13 payments rather than 12, will save you a lot of interest, and it's well worth doing. If you have cash house and tenant has been living in the house 10 years plus, can they claim owner? I'm a mortgage broker, I'm not a solicitor. Hi, I'm looking to buy a 1-bed house, but have been told to wait and save for a 2-bed. Thoughts? Who's giving you that advice? It's up to you to do what you want. If you want a 1-bed house, buy a 1-bed house. If the house falls through, do you start from scratch with the mortgage broker? No, because we know all your details, so we can easily go back in, and when you found a new house, just update an application or put in a new application for the new property. You don't have to start from scratch because we've done all the prior work, such as the fact find, where we get to know you and your circumstances and your details. So you don't have to do that again. So we can just go in and get another product. Is there an early payment penalty on a mortgage? If you're in something like a fixed 5-year fixed term deal and you want to pay it off early, there will be an early repayment charge. If you're not in any form of fixed deal, then likelihood there won't be. Is there anything that can go wrong during conveyancing? Yes. An ancient burial ground could be discovered under the property. An ancient public right-of-way could tear right through your house. A mining search could be done. Quite a few things. Generally doesn't know. So don't panic, but you should be all right. Do I need to supply 6 months of job pay slips to qualify for a mortgage, or 12 months? It's 3 months, actually. 3 months pay slips if you're an employed permanent position. If you're a contractor or a 0-hour contract worker, you will need to provide 12 months. But generally, an employed position will be 3. Can I sell mid-mortgage? What fees will apply? So if you sell and you want to clear off your mortgage, you will have to pay an early repayment charge if you're mid-fixed term deal. What you can do is look into the possibility of doing what's called porting, which means moving your existing mortgage over to a new property. It is a new application. It's not as simple as that. There are applications and affordability and checks that need to go into it. But what it means is you keep your term keeps running. You haven't got to break that, and therefore there's no early repayment charges. Can I get a mortgage when I've been in a temporary contract for 6 months? You're going to struggle. We're going to want to know what you were doing prior to that and what's the likelihood of this temporary contract being extended, or do you have a new contract lined up? But certainly you're going to need to provide a lot of evidence for that one. Do I need a 5 or 10% as a new buyer, and also I'm an immigrant, so it's advisable to go, you will need a 10% deposit at least. How much are mortgage brokers, and do they need paying up front? It very much varies. I've heard of some mortgage brokers who charge thousands of pounds. There are some free ones. I would say the average is probably about £500. But for anyone who wants to know, our fee is £349, and you don't pay it up front. For us, we charge the fee once we've got you a formal mortgage offer and everything's good to go. Some other brokers operate differently. They may want some up front. So just a key point to discuss with your broker in your initial conversation. Views on Klarna if you're applying for a mortgage. Now, if you've got Klarna open, so an open account with Klarna, owing money on it while you apply for your mortgage, and it's going to be there when it completes, it will be viewed as a committed expenditure, so it will affect your borrowing. If it's going to be paid off before you complete, it can be ignored. But if you have excessive use of Klarna, some lenders might take a dim view of it because it suggests you can't manage your money in a way. If you want something, save up and buy it outright rather than spread the cost. They don't tend to like that. So try and limit your use of Klarna if you can, and make sure that all things are paid off and cleared before completion, and then it won't be taken into account. I have a CCJ for a parking ticket. Can you get me a mortgage? I'm pretty confident we will be able to, yes. Ideally, that CCJ will be satisfied, and it will be from a little bit of time ago. But yeah, we have access to the whole market. So there's lenders with very differing lending criteria, and there are lenders that are geared up for things like CCJs, defaults, missed payments, that kind of thing. So yeah, pretty sure we could. Would storage costs be considered committed expenditure given the storage cost will end once I buy? If it's going to end when you buy, then no. I have bad credit but been offered a gifted deposit. Is it possible for me to get a mortgage? I need to know what is the issue. What is the bad credit? There's no point telling me credit scores or you've got bad credit. We need to know specifics, because one lender might accept CCJs, whereas another lender might accept defaults or missed payments or a combination of each. So we need to know specifics when it comes to the credit file. I'm self-employed. What are the basic requirements I need to tick to be accepted for a mortgage? So with self-employed, it's very much just the same as a normal mortgage. The only difference is how we prove your income. So when you're employed, we use your pay slips. Self-employed, we use your accounts and tax returns, your annual accounts and tax returns that are filed with HMRC. So if you're self-employed, you need at least 1 year's accounts and tax returns. Ideally, you'll have 2 or more, because there's only a few lenders that will go off 1 year's of accounts. With 2 or more, you've got quite a choice. So it just comes down to how we prove your income. We'll be moving to a new house tomorrow. What stressful process? Yes. What about a credit card? Can you use it monthly with it being paid off each month? Yes, that's fine. In your experience, how long does a mortgage take to be accepted once applied? A couple of weeks, assuming that everything is smooth. Can I get a mortgage if I pay a DMP? So if you're in a debt management plan and you have been in it 12 months and not missed any payments in it, you do have options to get a mortgage. Yes, there are lenders who will accept that. But like I say, you've got to have had it for 12 months and had no payment issues with it at all. Then you can have options. If you have Klarna showing your credit file, 30-ish, but it's all paid, is that okay? Yep, that's fine. So that's a closed account, settled, so that won't affect you. Can I go with a 10% deposit for an additional property and use money from abroad? Don't understand what you're asking. My TransUnion score is so low. That's why we ask to see your Check My File report, because that shows us the view across TransUnion, Equifax and Experian. If you would like a free Check My File report, click on my TikTok bio and there is a link in there. One of the options is to get a free Check My File report. So go in there and get it. We only accept those because they are the most accurate and tell us everything we need. How long does it take to get a mortgage in principle? Hours, days or weeks? If I've got all the information from you, I can do it in an hour or 2. My credit score is 620. Is that okay? Well, credit score is irrelevant. I need to know the whole content of the credit file for the last 6 years. Any issues on there, any missed payments, anything at all on your credit file for the last 6 years could affect a mortgage. What it will tell me is which lenders I can approach with your case. So if you've got CCJs and defaults, automatically I'm thinking Nationwide aren't going to touch this. It's not one for them. I'm thinking it might be Kensington, it might be Pepper. Lenders you've probably never heard of. So we need to know your whole credit history for the last 6 years so we can match you with the most appropriate lender for your needs. If I own a property abroad, am I a first-time buyer here and I don't pay stamp duty? No, you won't be a first-time buyer. There's no point asking me if this credit score is acceptable or not. Like I said, it's the whole content of the credit file I need to see. Credit score is merely just a snapshot of the healthiness of your credit file at this point in time. We're looking at the whole 6 years of that credit file. How to borrow more to buy another house with remortgaging, 170k left on my mortgage. So you just additional borrowing. You have to be able to afford it. If you can afford it, then you can have the additional borrowing. It's all assessed. Are 5% mortgages harder to get? What's the criteria like? Generally, they are harder to get because the credit scoring is a lot tighter. Each lender has their own way of their own credit scoring system. So they will look at your credit file, your credit history, and then apply their own credit score to it. Now they are tighter on 5% deposit mortgages because there's higher risk to their lending. They're lending you more money, which is higher risk. So there is an element of extra tightness and security they put around it. Also, you're not blessed with the whole choice of the market for a 5% mortgage. Not every lender does it. Whereas with a 10%, most of them will. 5%, you've got a slightly restricted choice. So anything that's outside of the normal criteria, there's not really a home for it. Can I get a mortgage on an apprenticeship? You can do, but the apprenticeship wage is what we would take to work out how much you can borrow. Can someone come on my mortgage and I not use the income or commitments? Can someone come on my mortgage and I not using... I don't understand what you're asking. My TransUnion score is so low, check my file is high. Is there hope? Again, we need to see the check my file report. Can't comment. Credit scoring is irrelevant. It's what's showing on the credit file. How does remortgaging work if your house has grown in value? So could it put you into a lower loan to value? Absolutely, yes. So if you're remortgaging and your house has increased in value, but your mortgage borrowing has remained the same, your loan to value will decrease, which could put you in, it could move you from 90 to 80% loan to value. And with that could come a better rate. So it's always good to speak to a broker at remortgage time. So then you shop around, look at the deals available, and potentially get a better deal. We're 45 and 46-year-olds about to apply for a mortgage. Can I take private pension to mortgage for 25 years? Yes, you can do. Most lenders will view that as viable income. Absolutely. Get in touch. We can help you, Nadia. Who decides the value of the house? The lenders appoint a chartered surveyor, a professional valuer, to come out and assess it. Or they use data that they've got access to at, I don't know, Halifax HQ or Nationwide HQ, and they do a desk-based valuation. We're trying to work off 85% loan to value to give us the best rates for our circumstances. Yeah? Loan to value is a good way of getting a better rate. What's the difference with a bridging loan and a short mortgage? So a bridging loan is really only for 1 or 2 years. A short mortgage, you're not going to get a mortgage for 1 or 2 years. So quite different products altogether. What happens if a surveyor values your house without seeing it? Can you contest the value? You can, but you're going to have to pay to get it revalued. If I remortgage with a higher value house, does this mean I can borrow more to buy more shares? You talking about shared ownership? I don't understand. What's the rates at the moment? Is a good time for a mortgage? There's thousands of rates out there. My annual income is 27k and self-employed. How much can I borrow? I don't know, because you say you're self-employed. Are you sole trader? Are you limited company? Is that from salary and dividends? It's a different calculation with self-employed. Would you fix a 2 or 5 years at this point in time? What I would do is very different to what you would probably do. Everyone's situation is different and needs to be assessed on its own merits. I can't give that advice on TikTok because I don't know your situation at all. We're not allowed to do it from a regulatory perspective, which is correct, because to give accurate advice, you need to know all the information. So if you're a client, I would absolutely be able to have that conversation with you and suggest the best course of action. But on TikTok, not able to. Oh, excellent, Nadia. You got in touch with Joe. Good stuff. Can I get a mortgage whilst on universal credit? Would I still get housing benefit? You can use universal credit for a form of income, but they do not include the housing benefit. It's not there to allow you to get a mortgage. At best guess, how long do you think it will take mortgage rates to change with the base rate change? Fixed rate and base rate aren't linked, so it won't affect it. Fixed rates are dictated by the markets, not the Bank of England. 40k income and want to remortgage and borrow more, how much can I get? So times your 40k by 4.5. I'm making some assumptions there, like you've not got any big outgoings or anything like that, but general rule of thumb, 4.5, and then add it on there to there. How are the mortgage rates set? Because there's things called swap rates. So for fixed rates, there are things called swap rates, and that's what the lenders borrow money at. And they fluctuate based on market conditions. What we've been seeing recently is swap rates increasing because there is markets concern and fear around the upcoming budget and what that's going to do. So the swap rates have increased, so therefore lenders have had to increase their fixed rates, which is what we've been seeing in the last week or so. We will need to see how the swap rates react to the budget on the 30th next week. Remember Liz Truss's crazy budget and the markets just reacted horribly and the rates shot through the roof. That was because of the market reaction. Base rate remained the same. Fixed rate shot up because of the swap rates increasing. So the budget coming up on the 30th is quite an important thing coming up next week. So we keep an eye on that and see how the markets react. Are estate agents' valuation considered or accepted by lenders? Absolutely not. No, absolutely not. Estate agents are not chartered surveyors. Their value is just to flatter you, to try and get you to sell your house through them. As always, don't trust anything an estate agent says, and lenders certainly don't. Doing consent to let at the moment, how much more interest rate go up on a buy to let? So you're not moving to, if it's a consent to let, your mortgages remain the same. You're still a residential mortgage, just with consent to let. You won't be on a buy to let. Some lenders might add a percentage onto your residential rate, maybe 1%. But yeah, that's up to the individual lender. I've checked my report. I have 3 missed payments in the last 6 years in 2020. Would this be a problem? It would affect things, yes. So it certainly will have an impact on a mortgage application, but I'm pretty sure we'll be able to find you a lender that will give you a mortgage. My advisor has suggested I go with Empowered Mortgages. Are they a good lender? They're as good as anyone else. If your mortgage advisor suggests it, trust your mortgage advisor. They are the expert in this. How do you know how much you can borrow for a mortgage against your wages? Times it by 4.5. Car on finance and a 2k credit card. Could I still get a decent mortgage with husband no credit card? Yes, you should be able to. What the car and the credit card are going to do is just affect how much you can borrow. Now that could be offset if you've got high wages. So it just needs to be assessed, but yeah, you should be all right. Have you ever worked in an agent? What? Have you ever worked in a estate agent? No, and I never would. I have a mortgage in principle for 290. Should I be worried that my mortgage won't go through? If a broker did your mortgage in principle for you, I'd have quite a lot of confidence that should be fine. If you've done it yourself, then there's no way of telling. You can pretty much get an agreement in principle from any lender. It's a very light check and a very cursory glance on things. But if you go to a broker, then we do the research and match you with a lender in the first place that's going to be the most likely to give you the decision in principle you need, and then onto the mortgage later on. Does universal credit have the same power as income? E.g. 4.5 times not including housing. Depends on the lender. Depends to what extent they take benefits into account. 40k income, want to remortgage, but I've answered that question already. So many repetitive questions here. Yeah, I know. Tell me about it, Luke. How long does decision in principle from the bank last? Very much depends. 30 to 90 days. Don't worry about them though. You can easily get another decision in principle. As soon as something changes, it's it's pretty irrelevant anyway. Do you work Mondays? I work every day of the week. I work every day of the week. Ask Luke. He sees me every day of the week. What advice would you give for an absolutely first steps with looking into buying? Abby, go to our website and you can download the free first time buyer's guide. You can also get access to it through the link in the TikTok bio. That will give you something to read, hopefully some pointers. But I would also suggest getting in touch with the mortgage broker, ideally us, of course, at the earliest possible opportunity. Because what I like to do with the first-time buyers is literally talk them through the whole process from start to finish, because we're the ones that are with you through the whole thing. So I go over the steps involved, who does what, costs involved, all that kind of stuff, and really help you out to understand it. So feel free to get in touch, Abby. Happy to discuss that. But if not, get the free first time buyer guide from the website. What are fees? $349. My offer got accepted, and I got a completion date. Is it bad to get a new credit card now? Yes, it is. Don't do anything between getting a mortgage offer and completion. Don't do anything. Don't get anything on finance. Don't spend on credit cards. Don't change jobs. Do not do anything to jeopardize your mortgage application before it completes. When buying a property in a limited company, do they credit check the individual or the company? Mainly the individual, because likely a lot of companies are brand new. They've just been set up, SPV, special purpose vehicles. So they are backed by the director. Furniture can wait. Yeah, exactly. Are mortgages available for buy-to-let properties on a guaranteed rent scheme? Yeah, if you've got rental income, That's mainly what buy-to-let mortgages are based on, the rental income. Property on the market, 375, and estimated value is 345, Zoopla. What would be an appropriate offer? There aren't any rules to making offers. You offer what you want. Literally, if you want to pay a certain amount, that's the offer you put forward. And the estate agent is legally bound to put that offer to the seller. So don't be afraid. Put in any offer you want. What's the worst that can happen? They'll say no. You've not lost anything. You're in the power seat. You're not the one trying to sell it. You might be interested in buying it, but they're the ones trying to sell. So you offer what you want. They might say no. Therefore, you go back in with a higher offer if you still want it, or you just walk away. I'm buying a new build. Do you recommend using their solicitors? Yes, because that solicitor will have dealt with many of the plots on that development. So for both our new builds that we've bought, we've used the developer solicitor, mainly because they're comfortable with the contract, the content of it, the searches, so it can work out more favorably. Why do solicitors charge so much? Because they're professionals and they charge for their services. These are businesses, they're not charities. Fixed rate ends March 25. Can I apply for a mortgage now and switch to a lower rate before? March 25. Absolutely, Lauren. Yes, now is the time to do it. So fix a mortgage, a new rate today. If you do it through a good mortgage broker like myself, we'll fix it today. If rates decrease, we will change it before completion. But if they increase, you have protected yourself and got in there early. So that's the whole process of looking into options before 6 months before your deal ends, if I can get my words out. So 6 months before your deal ends, you look at your options, you lock in a rate there, which will protect you from rate increases, but then your mortgage broker can change it prior to completion if they go down. Lenders who will take on someone with credit card agreement on credit file. No missed payments. Loads of them. Loads of people get mortgages with credit cards, loans, cars on finance, all kinds of stuff. Don't let that put you off. The only thing it affects is how much you can borrow. But yeah, absolutely. How to calculate borrow more, please? I've answered your question so many times, I'm not going to do it again. In fact, who values a property when it is gifted to a family member? No one. If it's just gifted over to a family member, no one will be valuing it. 1 second, my daughter has requested something. Here we go. Approve. Good stuff. Right. How much deposit do you need for a house? So you can buy from as little as a 5% deposit. So there are lenders out there who will do that. Or if you want the best choice of lenders, go with a 10% deposit. The general rule is the more deposit you can put down, the better. Luke, that's a very good point. So I don't know how to do it. I don't know how to do that, Luke. I will look into it. Sorry, I didn't word that right. I want a hardship agreement with my credit card company. What's a hardship agreement? Don't understand that. Is buying through auction different with a mortgage? Yeah, we don't do it. Buying through auctions is an absolute ball ache. Time is not on your side. Everything has to be done quickly. So absolutely, it's a pain in the backside. We will be doing it soon. We've got an advisor coming on who is very well versed in doing the auction stuff. So we will be doing it soon, but it's an absolute nightmare. My partner has leave to remain status in the UK, makes 27k a year. Will lenders give us a mortgage? Yep, you've got indefinite leave to remain. Then absolutely, yep, you will. Right, I'm going to have to pack this up now, I'm afraid. Thank you for joining. We have Sunday night bedtime duties to do. So hopefully you found this useful. If you would like to get in touch, then please do send us an email to hello@mellowfinancial, and we will certainly be happy to help you. Thank you, Luke. Have a good evening. So what can you find in the TikTok bio? You can find a link to get a free first-time buyer's guide. You can find a link to get a free Check My File report. You can also find a link so you can book a call straight into our diaries, and one of the advisors will give you a call to discuss what you need. Or you can go through the website and do that, or you can send us an email to hello@mellowfinancial, and we will help you out. So, thank you all for joining me. I wish you a lovely end to your weekend, and wish you all the best for next week. Thank you for joining.